Nathaniel here, and it's a pleasure having you back for our weekly report. The 1st of August came and went, and with it we received a new batch of funds for illustrations, and we have already begun to put them to good use. As an end-of-the-month financial report, we have spent $116 of the $120 received on 9 new illustrations and 4 modifications to previous ones. To give some examples, you already saw the beautiful Land Ironclad, as well as the Cheney and the Centurion BARV. Thank you everyone for supporting us. Now, let's have a look at last week's articles. First up, we have the Churchill Mk.III with the Ardeer Aggie mortar. This was a variant of the Churchill AVRE, which instead of mounting the 290mm petard mortar, opted for the larger 300mm Aggie mortar. Mounting such a weapon required the Churchill Mk.III to be slightly redesigned, yet the project was still plagued by many operational problems, such as space issues, dangerous backblast problems, and poor crew conditions after firing. Only one was built, and the petard and Aggie were eventually replaced after World War II by the Ordnance BL 6.5-inch Mark I demolition gun. The second article that we published covers the Medium Tank M4A3 105 HVSS Porcupine. This variant of the Medium Tank M4 was designed to fill the role of a communications tank, assisting with maintaining coherence between various units. Used during the Korean War, this M4 variant forsook the use of its main armament, the 105mm howitzer, so that it could mount additional radio equipment within the turret. To keep up the appearance of a normal tank, these communication variants featured a dummy gun, but they also featured up to 8 antennae, which gave rise to their name of Porcupine. It is estimated that around 5 of these M4s were converted, and it is unknown if any survive to this day. Both of these articles were written by Mark Nash and illustrated by Amazing Ace. And last, but not least, as a break from our usual middle-of-the-century routine, we'll have a look at the Olifant Mark II South African main battle tank with Dr. Dewald Venter.
The Olifant Mark II was developed from the Mark 1B when it became clear that no new main battle tank would be acquired to replace the Olifant Mark 1A. The Mark II features an upgraded Continental 29-litre turbocharged V12 diesel engine that produces 1040 horsepower, which allows the Mark II to accelerate 25% quicker than the Mark 1B. Additional improvements included an upgraded fire control system and computerized battle system, which gave the Mark II a fire-on-the-move, all-weather, day or night fighting capability. The Commander received a Commander's observation platform, which is fully stabilized and equipped with thermal imaging, which significantly enhances situational awareness and combat ability. The Mark II features the much sought-after hunter-killer mode, which enables the Commander and Gunner to hunt for enemy targets independently, thereby maximizing the chance of achieving the first hit probability, as well as better target tracking and management. The Mark II retained the South African-produced 105mm GT3B rifled gun barrel manufactured by Littleton Engineering Works, coupled with a solid-state electric gun control system. The M9718 armor-piercing fin-stabilized discarding sabot round travels at 1,455 meters a second and can penetrate 580mm of rolled homogeneous armor at 3 kilometers. The new turret drive can traverse the turret a full 360 degrees in 16 seconds. Currently, the Olifant Mark II is the pinnacle of tank technology in Southern Africa.
Thank you, Dewald. This article was illustrated by our founder, David Bocale. This week, our friends from Plain Encyclopedia also posted an article on a very interesting topic, the use of the P-51 Mustang in Communist Chinese service. Here talking about it, Edward Jackson, the founder of Plain Encyclopedia.
This week, Plain Encyclopedia released our article on the North American P-51 Mustang in Communist Chinese service. Originally, hundreds of Mustangs were in service with the Chinese nationalists. During the civil war that erupted between the nationalists and the communists, many pilots defected whilst flying their Mustangs, and as the communists marched on, they eventually would go on to capture dozens of Mustangs, leading to their actual operational service with the People's Liberation Army Air Force. We were very fortunate to get Brendan Matsuyama to illustrate the Mustangs for our article. Be sure to stop by and check out the article on our site, plain-encyclopedia.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Now, before we pass to gaming news, we want to ask you, our report viewers, a question. What segments would you like to see us cover in the future of our weekly reports? What would interest you? Please leave a comment below, for we would really like to hear what your thoughts would be on this. And now, on to gaming news. This week's gaming news looks at the Polish tanks going into the Common Test in World of Tanks. For those that don't know, Common Test is where new tanks, maps, and other concepts are released to the general community for trials before release into the game, similar to beta testing. Poland is the second of two new nations recently introduced to wargaming, to World of Tanks. The first being Italy, of which we spoke about a few weeks back. The Polish line is broken into three groups: the low tiers, which are tiers 1 to 4, the medium tiers, which are tiers 5 to 7, and the top tiers, which are tiers 8 to 10. Tier 1 sees the 4TP, which in reality was an unarmed prototype tank that saw extensive testing between 1937 to 1939. Tier 2 has the 7TP, which is similar to the Finnish 6-ton, armed with Bofor's 37mm gun. This tank was the main tank of the Polish army after the outbreak of the Second World War. However, in-game, this main armament is replaced with a 40mm gun, for reasons we do not yet know. Tier 3, the 10TP, a single prototype of this Christie suspension-based tank, was produced. Similar to the Soviet BT series tanks, it was meant to be part of a modernization of the Polish cavalry units. Tier 4 sees the 14TP, designed as an improvement over the 10TP with thicker armor and a more powerful engine. The prototype wasn't finished before the fall of Poland in September of 1939. All of these are light tanks in-game and fairly balanced, with Wargaming stating they have slightly higher alphas over their contemporaries. The Tier 5 2025 TP is a medium-light hybrid in Wargaming terminology. It's the unofficial title given to the three designs produced for mounting a bigger gun into a more protected chassis and used as a medium tank. The project never got past the design stage. One company did make a wooden model. In-game, it will be armed with a 75mm cannon, making it a very capable opponent in-game. From this point, we start getting into Wargaming's well-known imagination stretching for tanks. There is little to no evidence that any of the following ever existed in any form, so we'll be using the information that is given by the Wargaming company. The 40TP is a Tier 6 medium that was a supposed design by Edward Heibeck. The engineer took the best of German and Soviet designs to come up with a hard-hitting but compact medium tank. Tier 7 sees the 45TP, another Heibeck design, which is essentially an upgrade of the 40TP. In-game, it will play similarly to the firepower of a heavy but with the armor of a medium. This requires players to take this into account before committing. Tier 8 has the 53TP, a 105 or 120mm beast that is similar to the IS-2. The story is that this, along with the next two tanks, were part of a thesis produced by engineering students. The Tier 9 spot is filled by the 50TP, which has an impressive 130mm gun and thick armor, but also slow speed. The 60TP takes the top spot as a 152mm behemoth and is capable of 750 hit points of damage in one shot. Wargaming states that it is a hybrid of the IS-4 and the E-100. The historical accuracy of the tanks from Tier 6 onwards is dubious and has raised criticism from many, with some tanks being accused of outright fabrication. In-game, though, the line has been reviewed well for its balance and style and has received a lot of praise from the community as a whole. In sticking with the Polish theme, the Super Test, which is the stage before the Common Test, almost like beta testing, sees the TKS Tankette being brought back once again. Hopefully, This time it goes through. This 20mm armed mini-tank is definitely one of Lawrence's personal favorites in armored history, and it was the machine used by Edmund Orlik during the battles of Campinos Forest and Sarakow, where he is credited with the destruction of 10 tanks and the death of the heir to the Duke of Ratibor. Lastly, the 50 TP prototyped Wing Hussar is a premium tier 8. While nothing is really known about it, it does look pretty cool, with the red and white flag of Poland surrounding it, as well as the Polish Eagle coat of arms and the charging Hussar emblazoned on its side. It will surely be an investment for many as a fan. This concludes this week's gaming news. This is all for now. Don't forget to check out our website for new articles. We usually post on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You can also check us out on Facebook, where we post interesting photos and questions, and consider donating to our Patreon campaign. The donations really go a long way to help us stay afloat and keep up our rhythm. We would also appreciate if you gave us a like and a subscribe on YouTube, so you don't miss our reports or any of our future features. I'm Nathaniel, and until next time, keep us in your sights.